Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Are you looking to improve your land and the environment for your cattle? Today, we'll show you how the Natural Resources Conservation Service can help you enhance your soil, water, and all the natural resources on your operation.
And now, a special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Oxter. We all know it's a big job to manage the land and water resources on our cattle operations, especially as these commodities become more limited and valuable. That's where NRCS, the USDA's Natural Resources and Conservation Service, can play an important role. Today, we're going to take a closer look at this valuable agency and how it works with cattle operations all across the country. We start in Virginia, where Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Matt Fleck has a story of a farmer who worked with NRCS to develop a system to improve water quality in his community while also increasing his beef production through better forages.
Virginia has a long history of cattle production on places like the Overhome Farm, where Ronnie Knuckles is the fifth generation on the land. For farmers like Ronnie, nearby waterways and highly populated areas create both challenges and opportunities.
Virginia has challenges based on land use primarily. We're also in the Mid-Atlantic region, so we have lots of population centers, and cattle production exists very closely with those mixed-use areas of suburban, urban, and rural, and we also have lots of surface water in Virginia. So everywhere there's cattle, there's surface water pretty close by too.
The farm here at Ronnie's is located in Goochland County. He's within a mile of the James River, which is a major tributary and major watershed throughout Virginia that empties directly into the Chesapeake Bay. Although we're approximately 2.5 hours from where the James technically enters into the bay, we all understand that all the runoff here from this farm operation ultimately would potentially impact the Chesapeake Bay. So water quality is a big initiative in Virginia on agricultural lands, and Ronnie, like many other livestock producers, recognize that and have taken voluntary actions to exclude their livestock from the streams and ponds, which would have an impact downstream.
When we put in the stream exclusion, when we first considered that, it was springtime, grass was lush, and of course all the best grass is right down next to the creek. And you're looking at a 35-foot strip, and we had a lot of streams. With streams, a bank, and the wooded areas, we were excluding close to 50 acres of the 175 that I started with. So I was concerned, trying to increase my herd size, what's this lost acreage going to do? Can it be compensated?
In addition to fencing out his streams, Ronnie worked with NRCS to implement a rotational grazing plan that uses polywire temporary fencing to maximize the grass available for his cattle.
When we brought in the stream exclusion program and the rotational grazing, we were able to manage the herd. We were able to control where they grazed, how long they grazed.
For Ronnie, as well as most producers who consider doing this stream exclusion and taking out a 35-foot buffer around all these surface waters, that's a big hurdle for anybody to cross. And most of them are concerned that, I'm losing so many acres of pasture land. How am I going to make up for that? And Ronnie took that leap of faith. He trusted his local conservationist. He went ahead and did it. He's increasing utilization of the forages, and he's increasing productivity, the health, vigor of those forages across his pasture acres. So that increased yield and utilization combined more than make up for the small percentage of the pasture land that's now outside in that buffer.
In the context of water quality improvement practices in Virginia, stream fencing, particularly the role of buffers, is important. Buffers are necessary so that we have a sequestration area for nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus, and then sediment so that they don't reach those surface waters and then eventually the Chesapeake Bay. They don't have to be challenges viewed, though, as a reduction in the grazing area, because the focus then really should be, additionally, in water quality improvement, again, back to the upland pasture improvement. And that's where programs that we participate in as beef producers through conservation, cost share, and financial incentives like EQIP particularly give us the opportunity to do both well.
Once the stream buffers and the grazing plan were in place, Ronnie quickly saw improvements to both his pastures and his cattle herd.
To have good cattle, you've got to have good grazing. To have good grazing, you've got to have active, healthy soil. And it all comes back to that level. So I think it's a key component, and I think it's so often it's overlooked that you just don't, you look on top of the ground, you look across grass, you don't look down and think about what it's doing below. In addition to what it did for the soils and the grasses, we gained control of the herd, which I didn't have. But with the better grazing, we saw the quality of the animals improve also.
The value to managing forage resources and creating uniform cattle is very simple. It's the bottom line. The better job you do managing forage resources, the more efficiently you put weight on cattle, and the more uniform cattle are, the better they package and the better they sell.
In fact, Ronnie believes working with NRCS and putting conservation measures in place has made a positive impact on his cattle management and the returns his cattle bring him in the marketplace.
With a different management style and the improved grazing, my weaning weights probably have gone up 100 pounds per animal, and I'm selling them heavier sooner than I was 6-7 years ago. So it's a total package.
Ronnie is a prime example of how he started this conservation project with the exclusion of the waters. But what it has allowed him to do is kind of build the infrastructure of a grazing system. And what that does, it gives him complete management over the livestock that he's raising. So they're more docile. He's around them each day. It's easier to get those cattle up when you got to work them or load them or move them and so forth. But as far as a production benefit, overall the performance of his herd has increased year by year. Just being able to manage them in a system, keeping fresh, nutritious forage in front of them more days of the year, their body condition is excellent. They're rebreeding faster when that time comes. And all of it plays together to improve performance of the livestock, in a system that's beneficial to our natural resources.
With clear running streams, healthy grass, and thriving cattle, Ronnie Knuckles is doing his best to carry on the family farming tradition. And he, like other producers across the country, can count on the expertise of the NRCS team to help them better manage their resources and keep them on their land.
The NRCS mission is helping people help the land. So that's what we want to do, is try to make sure that we conserve the natural resources and keep those families out on the farmer ranch.
The partnerships that we have with agencies like NRCS on the federal level down to soil and water districts on the local level are probably even more profound in the Southeast than anywhere. The Southeast has about 40% of the nation's cow herd, and most of those herds average from 2 to 3 dozen head. So it isn't a large beef operator's game to become involved in environmental stewardship. These are programs that are accessible to all of us, and they're perhaps more widely used and most beneficial when they're used on smaller scales, where we have pressure from urban sprawl and we need evidence that agriculture is doing the right thing.
To keep production agriculture viable here in Virginia and across the United States, it's really important to be able to have good stewards like Ronnie, to work with him to open up the farm, to have, whether it be school groups or other producer groups, members of the community, to be able to come in and see how he's managing his herd and how he's managing the natural resources in a way that's beneficial for everybody.
I think the services provided by the Natural Resource Conservation Service is one that's available to everybody. It doesn't matter the size of the farm or where you're located. They're here to serve all of us, and they've played a vital role here. And I would encourage anybody, even if you think you have a good system in place, talk to them, call them, check the website, see what they have to offer, see what you can learn through that cooperation.
Reporting from the Overhome Farm in Goochland County, Virginia, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
If you have conservation practices you'd like to put in place in your operation, you should start by visiting with your local NRCS office about the technical and financial assistance they can provide. Go to their website, nrcs.usda.gov, to find an office near you. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm John Mulhagen with Molly Manufacturing. If you're not familiar with Molly, Molly is the company that builds silencer hydraulic squeeze chutes. What we're seeing here today is one of our new AP corrals. It's a lightweight portable that we can use in many applications. There's a lot of portables available out there on the market today, but we needed something that we could set up in smaller areas and didn't take a big truck to haul these things around. We could pull an AP corral with a small pickup. The wheels on the corral system are, of course, really what makes it work. Because these 10-foot sections are shorter, this gives us a lot more flexibility on how we make little things inside, where if you have a 20-foot panel, you're always kind of, and it's too heavy to push, and you can't really get those little directions you need. Maybe you just want to hold one calf in one spot where you can roll the stuff around and make one little spot just to hold one animal. And then with our brace pipe behind it, this thing doesn't have to kick back at us too, so we can keep moving in on these groups and making it smaller and having some reinforcement so it doesn't come back at us. And then the other thing that we designed into it is it's made for small animals. So the wheels actually drop down on this thing, which we can hold goats, pigs, sheep, dogs, whatever in this same corral. There's just so many different uses for the AP corral. If you're looking for new tools, techniques, and machinery to make your operation more efficient and profitable, then you're in the right place. We learn more about how solutions from New Holland Agriculture can make a difference in your cattle operation as Brian Baxter reports.
When choosing a new bull for their herd, cattle producers know there are lots of variables and choices to be made. The challenge is much the same when choosing to buy a new tractor.
So customers come in all the time and they say, I'm looking to buy a tractor. And I say, what do you want to do? Tell me a little bit about your operation. What's your scope? Are you looking at 10 acres? Or are you looking at 10,000 acres? There's a vast difference.
When a person's looking for a new tractor, what I would suggest is spend some time, slow down the purchase process. It's a major investment for you, something that you're going to want to use for years to come. You want to buy a quality tractor, like we said, from a quality dealership. You need to look at the weight of the tractor. A person buying a tractor to put up 200 bales a year has many different needs than a customer looking at buying a tractor to do 5,000 or 7,000 bales a year. And a dealership, their sales staff can help guide you through that on exactly what you need to do. And that can be on your farm. Don't be afraid to ask the dealership, hey, can one of your sales guys come out, evaluate my farm, evaluate my needs.
With all the options today in the tractor world, the first thing that you should do if you're shopping for a tractor is sit down and make a list of what you want it to do. And be able to take that to a dealer with you and say, this is what I'm looking to do. Tell me what tractor does this for me. And then the other simple thing that I would say is make sure you get on the tractor and you drive it. I so often see people make decisions based off of data and information. You may not even like it, so get on it and drive it. Make sure you like it, make sure it fits you, because there are differences in the ways. Most of the tractors today are very adaptable to different body types, but there'll be something about a tractor that you will or won't like, and make sure you like it. You're spending a lot of money. Make sure it satisfies you.
So for cattle producers who are doing all the chores, making hay, and caring for their cows, what are the tractors and features that are best meeting their needs?
I want a versatile tractor. I like the four-wheel drive tractors the best, simply for feeding hay in the wintertime and stuff like that. Economy does come into play eventually, but ease of use, being able to use them easily and user-friendly, that's all important. And I've had New Holland tractors probably since about 1985, and probably be my tractor of choice in the future.
Last year I put up approximately 1,400 bales. I use New Holland equipment only, use a New Holland baler, use a New Holland tractor. Well, on the T5, I mean, I love the shuttle shift. I love the fact that it has the 16 gears, and it's got a lot of the later features that automobiles have. It's got a computer system on board, basically, that allows you to preset things for your implements. Of course, my favorite is the air condition, and it works very well. And it has the adjustable up and down steering. It has the tilt steering, has the adjustable seat, has the air ride seat, and just has all the comforts of an automobile when you're out in a tractor.
I like the T6 tractors because they fit our operation to a T. I mean, we can mow with them, we can yank the mowers off, take the mowers off, we can rake if we need to. We use those two tractors. I have two T6 tractors. We use them all the time to feed hay in the wintertime. So they just fit our operation as good as any tractor could.
No comparison. I mean, there is no comparison. The New Holland tractor is the most comfortable tractor that I've ever been in.
From a New Holland tractor offering, there's really 3 different families of tractors that kind of cover that 100 horsepower range. A lot of overlap, but yet some distinct differences whenever you compare a Power Star to a T5 to a T6 series. Each family of tractors has a different set of specifications and configurations available, best suited to the various customer needs. We have our Power Star series of tractors here, and they provide a good all-purpose utility type tractor. When we take a look at the controls of the cab, you have an operator's instructor seat here in the cab. You also have good placement of the operator's controls. We have a shuttle located on the left-hand side, the base 12x12 transmission located over here with the gear shift, the range shift down below here from that standpoint. Great visibility to our front end loader, good clear placement of the controls with the hydraulics, etc. So a good overall package, great for a utility tractor as for the Power Star series. Next here in our lineup, we have the T5 120 Electro Command. So a little bit larger frame size when compared to the Power Star. We also get into a more advanced transmission in that it is a semi-power shift 16x16. Overall, the cab size is a little bit larger, a little bit more spacious, still a very good fit for front-end loader applications and a design standpoint. Let's take a look inside the cab. Controls are very similar in terms of the Power Star from an overall cab layout standpoint, but we have an electro-hydraulic power shuttle located here on the left-hand side. You also have your joystick control for your loader operation, as well as an upshift, downshift button for the transmission. Hydraulic controls, everything's placed there. Good visibility without the loader panel for this. This is the T5.120 Electro Command. The T6 series tractors is our largest utility all-purpose tractors, if you will, in that it has the longest wheelbase, the heaviest chassis weight, and also the highest horsepower. We have 3 different transmissions in this offering, an electro command, a dynamic command, and an auto command transmission. Each of those providing a different level of productivity and operator comfort for the operator to be able to use depending on their needs and their application.
The power, reliability, and features of the new tractor you buy are important, but equally so is the ability to count on the knowledge and service capabilities of the dealer who sells it to you.
So whenever you're looking for a tractor, any purchase, you should consult with your dealer to see what does he offer besides, beyond the sale. How are you going to support him with parts when he needs parts? What kind of parts levels do you stock? What kind of service do you offer, both in warranty and out of warranty? Does that include on-farm service? How is the delivery of the equipment handled? Who pays for hauling and mechanic travel time under warranty? Those are all questions that a purchaser should ask their dealership.
At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you that where you buy your machine is probably more important than the brand that you buy. And that really comes down to, does the sales staff work with you properly? Do we have an adequate parts staff? Do we have an adequate parts inventory? Do we have a trucking department, delivery? The machines today are big. You're not gonna pull them behind your typical pickup with your typical utility trailer. It's gonna take some special equipment to move it around safely. Do you have a trained shop? You know, are they accessible during the hours that you're going to be working? You know, will the salespeople introduce you to the parts staff and the service staff? Do you know who you're dealing with? Or, you know, because that's going to be ultimately what makes you happy with a tractor.
Reporting from Southwest Missouri, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
For more information on this and other topics that can help improve your operation, visit the website newholland.com. We'll have more of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen right after this.
When the field is your office, you never get tired of going to work. Cut, rake, bale, repeat. New Holland offers the power and versatility to get through the day. From small squares to large squares and everything in between, New Holland has you covered. Visit your local dealer today to find out more.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Houston. I'd like to invite you to join us at the 2020 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show deep in the heart of Texas.
Today, we're talking about the Natural Resources Conservation Service and how the agency helps cattle producers best use, manage, and protect their resources. Russell Nemitz introduces us to a Louisiana producer who is successfully mixing cattle and woodlands thanks to the help of the NRCS.
When it comes to raising cattle, the weather and the landscape in southwest Louisiana are just a little bit different.
Longleaf, like this site here, is relatively rare on this landscape and has a beautiful herbaceous grassland plant community that's really good to raise cattle on while you're growing timber as well. We started out in 1982 when we purchased 75 acres of a longleaf tract. And we thinned the timber out to the point that sunlight hit the ground, and we put a fence around it, prescribed, burned it, and began to run some cattle. And from there, we learned the art and the science of running cattle in the woods.
Dave Daigle has a very unique operation. He does not focus strictly on cattle, and he does not focus strictly on forest production. He's kind of right in the middle. He's getting the best of both worlds. By doing both, he's created a very sustainable production operation where he's getting quality forest products, he's getting quality livestock being produced, and probably putting in less inputs than if he was concentrating on either one.
As a lifelong environmentalist, Dave understood his operation required a different approach to resource management, and he knew he needed a partner to help him. So he reached out to his local NRCS field office in order to build a conservation plan for his farm.
To manage correctly, I knew I needed help. You know, we fight some endangered species. You know, we need help with burning. We needed help with a prescribed grazing plan. Just everything tying it together and getting a consensus on what we need to do out there and then executing what we do. And it's so much of it has been technical assistance, which has come from NRCS.
I met Mr. Daigle in 2009. We started out with a conservation plan. We established a really good working relationship early based on getting water and cross fences to his land units in order to really hone down a grazing plan.
The conservation plan is something we could really hang our hat on. It's concrete, it's there. We go to it, and very, very important for us to get what we need done here. Can't do it alone.
By managing all these values on his farm, he is able to increase his net production. There's very little input, but there's a very high net. And that's important in his operation because he doesn't spend all that money up front for inputs. We've used conservation practices through EQIP and the Conservation Stewardship Program to enhance his farm and to give him financial ability to manage the way he needs to manage this place.
NRCS did the first conservation plan for us in about 1982 or so. And then NRCS has done subsequent ones on different tracks over the years. NRCS has come in since then and made some changes. This plan is about 11 years old on this particular track. So it's been an evolution process with NRCS to see the conservation plans get more sophisticated and take more conservation into mind on each track.
Dave is very focused on management. He investigates a lot of different avenues to get him information, and NRCS does play a role in that. So working through that conservation plan, he asks questions, but he listens to all the experts, and then he evaluates how it can work for his place.
Dave's conservation plan aims to work in concert with his unique natural environment, and over time, he's been able to improve his resources and his cattle production using fewer inputs.
Prescribed burning along with grazing is necessary to move these forests forward into a production stance. Production is not Mr. Daigle's objective. It's natural resource management, but he is able to use these cows as a management tool.
And using that plan, we're producing more beef on these sites than we were before. For a number of reasons. Number one, we're using our grass in a way that means healthier grasses, healthier prairie.
Follow natural processes and don't fight Mother Nature, don't fight God. Just mimic what he put into play. You'll work less, you'll produce more, and that's a big key, and less impact on the environment. And another thing that Dave says all the time, it's a philosophy you hear from other true conservationists, and that's leaving the land in a better shape for future generations, and he's certainly doing that. He's taking land that was either under or over managed and mimicking those natural processes, bringing back to where it could be more sustainable and leaving it in better condition than he got it.
Dave appreciates the support he's received from NRCS, not only with conservation planning, but with cost sharing that has helped him put his plan into practice. He also firmly believes it's a partnership that benefits NRCS as well.
Conservation planning, that's the roots of our agency. That's how we provide technical assistance to help people address their objectives and their problems. And over the last few decades, we were fortunate enough to also be able to provide financial assistance to help them. And so by sitting down and going through the conservation planning process, we can develop a schedule of operations to help you meet and achieve your objectives, and then come in with the tools to help you implement that plan, and those tools can be financial assistance.
The EQIP program is very, very important because it's specific to certain conservation practices that we do, like prescribed grazing or prescribed burning, brush control, exotic species, invasive species, encroachment. It helps us on those a great deal.
NRCS is a service to the local agriculture community. We provide conservation planning to improve their operations, and we can even provide money to improve their operations, and that's the most fantastic thing.
Reporting from the longleaf pine savanna of southwest Louisiana, I'm Russell Nemitz for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
If you'd like to stay up to date with what's happening with Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you can find us on Facebook. We keep you posted with information about upcoming shows, farms and ranches we're visiting around the country, and we share legacy photos too. So check us out on Facebook. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, see how NRCS has helped a Nebraska operation stay in business for 4 generations. We'll be right back.
What does it mean to be an American cattleman? It means you have what it takes where it counts, on the inside. At Ritchie, we understand that. It's what's on the inside that defines us. We share the same values: ingenuity, commitment, sense of pride. These are the values that built this country. They're the values that built this company. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American cattlemen since 1921.
How do you keep a cattle operation going strong for 4 generations? By doing everything you possibly can to manage and care for the land. Matt Fleck shows us how one Nebraska family is taking advantage of help from the NRCS to implement conservation practices and stay economically viable for the long term.
The Maddox Cattle Company is a family-run cow-calf and yearling operation with deep roots in the sand hills of southwest Nebraska.
The history of our ranch goes back to my great-grandparents, Taylor and Clara Maddox. They came out and homesteaded in 1886. Well, this is the 131st year of our family being in the cattle business, and conservation of our ranch, of our natural resources, is the number one thing. I'm the 4th generation, my boys are the 5th generation on the ranch, so I think that lends itself to taking a long-term view of conservation. Certainly we've taken a view about being profitable, but the key point there is that conservation and profitability really go hand in hand.
Over the years, the Maddox family has continually innovated to improve their care of the land. They've worked closely with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service and created a detailed grazing plan for their ranch.
For me personally, a grazing plan is essential to proper management. I would be scared to try to graze cows without having a plan written down on paper. Your memory is short term, but if you have your records written down on paper, you can always go back and look at your records and see where you were at and what you were really doing. I wholeheartedly believe in a grazing plan because it keeps us on top of our game. It keeps us accountable for what we have out here.
We often like to think of our conservation plans as outlines for an economic blueprint for a farm. So generally when you're going to do good conservation, particularly in the long haul, you're going to do good economic viability for an operation. So as we talk about making sure we don't overgraze plants on a range, making sure that soil biology helps cycle nutrients and improve that forage productivity, long term we're building in more resilience against drought or even floods, and we're also building in more flexibility as far as decision making on the part of Mr. Maddox and his counterparts and how they want to invest in that increased productivity and improve the economic viability of their operations.
Now we have more water development, more cross fencing, and we have more intensive range use. I think our grass has improved dramatically because of that, and I think we can lay that to the great amount of information and insight that we've gotten from our local NRCS range conservationists and on a national level too, about how they have provided that great technical support and sometimes cost share support, that it's allowed us to develop this ranch and help maintain the possibility that we can carry it on into the next generation.
By working with NRCS in developing and implementing a conservation plan, the Maddox Cattle Company has been able to grow their cow numbers and sustainably increase their grass production.
On our grazing plan, each guy has their own set amount of pastures that he has for each herd that allows him about 10 to 11 acres per cow-calf unit. And with doing that, we're able to scrunch our cows down into tight groups into smaller pastures than what you'd see in traditional places. And with that, we were able to come in, hit a pasture rather quickly, graze it quickly, get it down to the level that we'd like to see, use as many of the forages that are there without being detrimental to them, not overgrazing them. And that allows us to have, because we're going to be able to have a longer rest period behind what we're doing, we typically try to build in a 90 to 100 days rest on our pastures. With doing that, we can have all of our plants can have ample rest, but with and with ample rest, they're able to recover at least to the level where they were before we went in, if not progress a little bit past that stage. In doing so, we can add more numbers to our cows.
We make the cows graze year-round. They graze corn stalks in the wintertime, and then we graze native range in the summertime, along with some other things like cover crops and some irrigated grass, but mainly is a year-round grazing program. And I think it's been 7 or 8 years since we have last fed a cow. And so we think that's one of our unique advantages here in our operation, is that we have that good winter resource of corn stalks, and we try to maximize our use of those corn stalks, and our whole genetic program, our whole system of calving is all geared to minimize our inputs on those cows.
At the Maddox Cattle Company, both the land and the cattle are healthy and thriving. And with these kinds of results, the value of focused conservation planning with help from NRCS is clear.
The benefits of conservation, not only to our clients, to Mr. Maddox and his counterparts, can't be overstated. As we talked about, the fact is it's a partnership, and it has to be something that's really advantageous for our clients in what they want to achieve on their respective operations. At the same time, investing in conservation not only makes his short-term viability better, but it makes the long-term viability better, because we actually are protecting and allowing the land to heal and restore itself.
I think that NRCS has a wealth of knowledge about various different practices, whether it be in farming or in ranching, and on soil conservation, water quality, all of those topics. I think that the Cattlemen bring something to the NRCS in that there is a level of practicality and a great deal of observation that happens by the individual cattle producers, that they provide that feedback to NRCS, which helps them refine and redevelop their programs so that their advice, their recommendations are really tailored to that operation out in the country.
Reporting from Southwest Nebraska, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you'll see a Virginia operation that worked closely with NRCS and ended up winning an Environmental Stewardship Award. We'll be right back.
Deep in the heart of Texas, that's where the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show will be in 2020. It's the biggest convention just for cattle producers in San Antonio, a city with an amazing history that's packed with great food and fun. You can't miss it. So make plans now for the 2020 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in San Antonio, February 5th to the 7th. Find out more at ncba.org.
When it comes to the beef business, there's no room for gray area. The decisions being made in Washington affect the future of the beef industry, the livelihood of your fellow farmers and ranchers. Your National Cattlemen's Beef Association knows there's what benefits cattlemen and there's what doesn't. To us, it's as clear as black and white. Visit joinncba.org to learn more.
Each year, the Environmental Stewardship Award program recognizes the nation's best operations for their stewardship and conservation efforts. Many winning operations have pointed to the Natural Resource Conservation Service as one key partner that helped them achieve their stewardship goals. Let's head to Virginia and meet one winner who knows a thing or two about the benefits of working with NRCS.
In the Shenandoah Valley of Northern Virginia, Valley View Farms has family history going back more than 100 years. Today, Mike and Susan Phillips work together, caring for the cattle that graze the steep, rolling hills of their 310-acre farm.
I run a cow-calf operation, and I background those calves, meaning once they're weaned, I'll background them into about a 7-8 weight. Everything is a forage base. I wouldn't call myself an intensive rotational grazing, but I'm pretty close to being intensive.
It's a family operation. It's been in Mike's family for several generations, and so we do it ourselves. That's why we went to rotational grazing, in order to be able to do it ourselves and be mostly hands-on with the cattle.
In addition to rotational grazing, Mike uses a mix of no-till seeded forages and cover crops to keep his cattle grazing nearly year-round. And he's passionate about protecting and improving soil health.
The hat that I wear on my head says the soil was meant to be covered. When this land was created, it was covered. It's meant to be covered. I want to follow exactly what the hat says, and I try to preach that to people. Keep something on that ground all the time to protect it.
Mike's passion for the soil began with his father, now retired, who had to take over working the farm at age 12 when his own father passed away. From the start, Mike's dad wanted to restore land that had been badly eroded.
And that soil erosion just bothered my father. He hated erosion.
Together, Mike and Susan have spent much of their lives working to stop soil erosion, starting with conservation plans that began when Mike took over the farm more than 35 years ago.
It had erosion problems, and Mike and I stood here and talked about how he might work to slow that erosion down. Seeing what he's done with this since that time, I see that he's reduced erosion drastically from where it was in 1978.
Another major challenge here is controlling water runoff. Not far away is the Shenandoah River, which ultimately leads to the Chesapeake Bay. So Mike has installed watering systems throughout his 22 grazing units and fenced his cattle out of the creeks.
All the sensitive areas, streams, wet areas, sinkholes, they have all been totally excluded, some back since 1986.
Mike has also fenced cattle out of wooded areas, planted trees, and set aside a portion of his land as wildlife and pollinator habitat. He not only cares for his own land and cattle, but also works off the farm as a technician for the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service.
This connection between, somebody's asked me, are you a full-time farmer or full-time NRCS? I said, I'm both.
The biggest advantage of Mike having an active, dynamic farm and working with NRCS is that he has credibility with the farmers. The farmers love him. They say, hey, this guy's doing it. He's not just talking about doing it.
Grateful to those mentors who have helped guide him, Mike is committed to sharing his knowledge with others. He's opened Valley View Farms to a wide variety of students, tours, and research projects.
This is my way of repaying my debt to my mentors, is doing what they did for me, given the commodity of time. You can read the books, but this is my classroom right here. And this is where, you can kick the dirt, look at each other face to face.
Whether it's protecting the soil, trying new cover crops, or even restoring their historic bank barn with timber harvested on the farm, Mike and Susan are committed to making Valley View Farms a leading example of the never-ending effort to improve the care of the land.
Our legacy will be that we tried to do things the right way. We feel that these acres here are ours just for a short time, and that we are simply passing through, and God has given us this to take care and to bring it up to a better standard.
My father took it from this level to this level, and they were able to me to take it to this level, and I want the next person that takes here take it to the higher level. I want to keep pushing it better. Right here, when you protect that ground right there, it'll take care of you. You feed her, she'll feed you.
If you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award winners, see photos and videos, or even learn how to nominate someone for the award, visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. Still ahead, it's time for a visit with our good friend Baxter Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Out here, you know what needs to be done, and you know what it means
to those you're doing it for. But every sunrise brings something new. With the weather, the soil, the markets, your machinery. You can't always predict what it will be. So it's good to know that Ram trucks are more than capable of helping you get it done right.
At Leachman Cattle, we're committed to building more profitable cattle. As a third-generation seed stock producer, our family has been in this business for over 80 years. Today, we have the best technology ever to build more profitable cattle. Our dollar profit index is a leader in the industry to help you balance all the traits that drive your bottom line. Give us a call or go to www.leachman to learn more.
We know you're up before the dawn because the cattle rise before the sun. And you spend long hours in the saddle because the herd isn't always over the next rise. And you care for the land because you know it takes care of your family. And we know you do great work. And it's time to tell that story to the marketplace. IMI Global is here to help you do just that.
One of the most formidable forces in nature is the salesman at the top of his game. They can stop wars, stampedes, hurricanes, tight ends, and lemmings in their tracks. Why, if it weren't for salesmen, Henry Ford would just be an obscure inventor. The Appaloosa horse would not exist, and public TV would still be airing Lou Grant reruns. You can see these salesmen on long country roads, headed to the next call, going over their sales pitch or listening to self-help CDs. Or you can spot them eating supper alone at restaurants that offer home cooking, all the time preparing for tomorrow and their next big chance to prove they have what it takes. The power of persuasion, the patience of redwood, and the persistence of black mold in your drywall to wear the title of Super Salesman. Slicker than deer guts on a doorstep, smooth as a filly's nose. Here in this jug's a miracle drug so new that nobody knows. Feed it, inject it, or plant it, stick it under an ear. Pick any breed, results guaranteed. The data's perfectly clear. It's good for foot rot and gophers, chafing on buffalo thighs, horses with corns and Angus with horns, and girls with fire in their eyes. Goats with a bad disposition, lovers losing their spark, turpentine cats and blindfolded bats, and dogs that forgot how to bark. Friends, are you troubled with aphids? Kids all down with the flu? Cattle won't gain, needing more rain. I tell you what this'll do. Kill all the weeds in your garden, patch up your inner tube, leaven your bread and stiffen your thread, and work out your Rubik's Cube. Give you more miles per gallon, relieve your gastric distress, and if that ain't enough, this wonderful stuff eats barbecue stains off your dress. Well, I see you don't quite believe me. Well, the best I saved for last. Pay me the cash, then quick as a flash. See? I went too fast. Okay, we'll do it again. Watch and you'll understand, safe and improved, it gently removes a $5 bill from your hand. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter. We always enjoy your segments on our show. And we're back with more right after this. Stay with us.
At Case IH, we believe it's our job to provide you with solutions. That's why our Farmall and Maxim tractors, as well as our tools and attachments, are designed with you in mind. From mowing to baling to loading and more, we're here to help turn your to-dos into to-dones. At Case IH, we'll keep your days running smoothly with equipment that's durable, versatile, and highly efficient. No wonder farmers are more loyal to Case IH than any other brand. Visit your local dealer or go to caseih.com/livestock for more.
One of the most important things you can do to make sure the beef industry stays sustainable is by joining me and thousands of other cattle producers and becoming a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. I've seen firsthand how every day the NCBA staff in Washington, D.C. and in Denver is working to protect the interests of cattle producers all across the country. But they can't do it alone. You can help by becoming a member. Just call 1-866-233-3872 or visit the website ncba.org. Over the years, the Cattlemen and Cattlemen cameras have been there as NRCS personnel work side by side with farmers and ranchers. Let's take a look at some of those great shots with this week's Legacy Photos. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.